Both parties' vice presidential nominees spoke at the International Association of Firefighters convention last week, with J.D. Vance getting booed and Tim Walz getting applause.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Without further ado, here's what workers in the U.S. South and the American colonies were up to from August 23rd to August 30th in new union campaigns. 876 workers across 12 bargaining units are in new union campaigns, with the Teamsters really showing out this week and covering over half of these workers. Really cool, really good work by the Teamsters. And 163 workers across 2 bargaining units are in new decertification elections. Starting off in McAllen, Texas, 160 security guards at Centera filed a petition to hold a union election with the Security Police and Fire Professionals of America, SPFPA. 4 workers at Cummins Sales and Service in Jeffersontown, Kentucky, filed a petition to hold a union election with the Teamsters Local 89. 94 workers at HMS Ferries Puerto Rico in Caiba, Puerto Rico, filed a petition to hold a union election with the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, IAMAW. The employer filed a petition to hold a union election after a majority of the 217 workers at UNFI Natural Foods in Atlanta, Georgia, demonstrated support for unionization with the Teamsters Local 728. 40 workers at AEP in Laredo, Texas, filed a petition to hold a union election with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW, Local 728. 46 workers at the Texas Freedom Network in Austin, Texas, filed a petition to hold a union election with the United Professional Organizers, UPO. 20 workers at Did Lake in Virginia Beach, Virginia, filed a petition to hold a union election with the Public Service Employees Union Local 572, an affiliate of LIUNA. Workers likely pushed by their employer filed a petition to decertify the Communication Workers of America, CWA, as the union representing 98 workers at AT&T Mobility in Metairie, Louisiana. And I've been seeing a lot of these decertification petitions at AT&T Mobility among units represented by CWA. So if anybody from the CWA knows anything about this, if there's some sort of concerted campaign from the company to decertify workers, I know that this was a big campaign by the CWA to organize some of these subcontracted units at AT&T. And there was a lot of success in the last year or so, but also in the last 3 or 4 months, I have seen a worrying amount of decertification petitions being filed. So if anybody at CWA knows anything about that, we would like to talk to you about it. Workers likely pushed by their employer filed a petition to decertify the Teamsters Local 886 as the union representing 65 workers at PepsiCo in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The employer filed a petition to hold a union election after a majority of the 11 workers at Pulao Corporation in Fort Hood, Texas, demonstrated support for unionization with the IAMAW. 75 workers at Sapporo Stone Brewing in Richmond, Virginia, filed a petition to hold a union election with the Teamsters Local 322. 69 workers at Parsec in Jacksonville, Florida, filed a petition to hold a union election with the Teamsters Local 512. The employer filed a petition to hold a union election after a majority of the 65 workers at Imperial in Tulsa, Oklahoma, demonstrated support for unionization with the Teamsters Local 886. And in campaign updates, the Transport Workers Union, TWU, which is organizing workers at Brightline in Florida, released an anti-union bingo card in response to what they called Bright Lies. You get it, Adam? They're organizing the company Bright Line, and the company released a bunch of anti-union stuff in an email, and the union is calling it Bright Lies.
Love it.
After workers at Sixt Rent-A-Car in Orlando, Florida, voted against unionization with Teamster Local 769, McKenna Schuler uncovered that the company had hired anti-union consultants at an astonishing rate of $425 per person per hour plus travel expenses. Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate. A Guardian report finds that now 38% of graduate workers are in unions. That is astounding. In election results, at least 263 workers across 6 bargaining units are newly unionized after one decertification petition was withdrawn. The decertification petition covering 2 workers at Eco Services Operation Corp in Houston, Texas has been withdrawn. United Steelworkers USW Local 227 remains the representative. 22 workers at Starbucks in Arlington, Texas voted 16-2 in favor of unionization with Starbucks Workers United. 125 workers at Specs Family Partners in Dallas, Texas voted 78-30 in favor of unionization with the Teamsters Local 745. 48 workers at Environmental Air Systems in High Point, North Carolina voted 28-15 in favor of unionization with the United Association of Plumbers and Pipe Fitters, UA Local 421. 38 workers at Hyatt in Arlington, Virginia voted 24-11 in favor of unionization with Unite Here Local 25. 30 workers at Kentucky Power in Pikeville, Kentucky voted 20-9 in favor of unionization with IBEW Local 978. And the Federation of American Scientists voluntarily recognized the International Association of Machinists, IAM, as the union representing their workers. It's unclear how many are in the bargaining unit. In settlements, grievances, and unfair labor practices, a worker was killed in a deadly tire explosion at the Atlanta airport last week. The International Association of Machinists, which represents 100,000 workers in the airline industry, released a statement calling on Delta and the relevant authorities to quickly launch a thorough investigation. Teamsters Local 667 in Texas continues to rally for UPS to begin making good on its promise to deliver trucks with air conditioning. The NFL Players Union is suing DraftKings for allegedly violating an agreement it made with the union on name, image, and likeness rights. Union staff at the developer of Call of Duty filed an unfair labor practice charge against Activision and Microsoft for bargaining in bad faith. In strikes and bargaining updates, rideshare drivers in Nashville, Tennessee, organizing with the Tennessee Drivers Union, conducted a one-day strike on Friday, demanding to negotiate with Uber, Lyft, and the city of Nashville over things like pay, hours, and regulations around rideshare services. The Bessemer City schools have officially been taken over by the state of Alabama now. The Central Alabama Federation of Teachers is continuing to raise concerns around inaccuracies in the pay schedule. The Teamsters continue to profile their rank and file bargaining committee at United Airlines. The International Association of Firefighters in San Antonio, Texas, reached a 3-year tentative agreement that includes 21.3% raises over the contract's term. The contract still needs to be approved by the union's membership and the city council. This will be the first opportunity that members have to vote on a new contract in 15 years. A new report by the Economic Policy Institute finds that the pay gap between private sector and public sector workers has increased to 17.6%, compared with a pre-pandemic gap of 13.9%. Public sector workers in states with stronger collective bargaining rights are less far behind their private sector counterparts. 8,000 workers employed by Gate Gourmet at 30 airports across the country ratified a new 5-year agreement that includes raising the minimum wage to at least $17 an hour. The agreement covers employees who are members of Unite Here, the Teamsters, BCTGM, and RWDSU. In political and legislative updates, McKenna Schuler has a new piece out in the Orlando Weekly juxtaposing Florida's lack of a Department of Labor and the lack of OSHA protections for state employees and the attack on public sector unions with Republicans' pro-worker rhetoric. Nursing home workers in West Palm Beach, Florida voted to authorize a strike over Labor Day weekend, but a strike was ultimately averted after progress was made at the bargaining table. Michael Sinato has a piece in The Guardian surveying corporate policies of companies with the lowest paid U.S. workers, showing how they are focused on their own short-term windfalls over worker well-being. Georgia's Republican Attorney General was part of a lawsuit against the Biden administration that has now blocked recent regulatory changes from the Department of Labor meant to protect farm workers. Attorney General Carr specifically derided the rules as, quote, pro-union. Unions continue to poll well, with disapproval hitting a 57-year low. Local news in Huntsville covered the increase in union density in Alabama, interviewing yours truly as a, quote, labor expert. What do you think about that, folks? The Houston Federation of Teachers is decrying the first year of the state's takeover of local schools, highlighting struggling AC systems, 150 grievances, up from only 20 in recent years, and nearly half of teachers in the district leaving the profession. In a year, 5,000 of 11,000 teachers have left. That is bonkers. Alabama is reportedly considering how to deliver traditional workplace benefits to gig workers, but I will believe it when I see it. In internal union affairs, both parties' vice presidential nominees spoke at the International Association of Firefighters convention last week, with J.D. Vance getting booed and Tim Walz getting applause. After multiple officials have been convicted of embezzlement, some local members of the International Association of Boilermakers told the Kansas City Star that they would like to see one member, one vote for top offices. The West Virginia Education Association and the West Virginia Federation of Teachers are reporting progress on merger talks. That wraps it up this week for Last Week in Southern Labor. If we missed anything, let us know at tvlr.fm/contact. We're going to take a break really quick, and we will be right back.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.